The Dwarfs are an interesting race. They are highly intelligent, expert craftsmen and engineers, and highly resistant to the influence of chaos. Resistant, yes, but not immune. Despite many scholars, and even some Dawi, claiming that the dwarfs are immune to the influences of chaos, this is simply not the case. Nobody is truly immune from the ruinous powers. They can simply just be resistant to it. For in the lands known as the Darklands, there exists a sub-race of Dawi, the Chaos Dwarves, Uzkul Drazar, Dawi-Zharr, or simply Fire Dwarves. They are cruel beyond measure, long separated from their kin and the grace of their pantheon. These Dawi have somehow managed to grasp the power of sorcery, while their kin cannot wield the winds of magic to their command. The Dawi-Zharr have learnt to do so, binding magics to their destructive machinery. They are branded traitors, heretics, and sometimes even lost. But the Dawi-Zharr know rightly who they are, and they will not be destroyed. Long ago, many thousands of years ago to be in fact, when the Dawi were still settling around the World's Edge Mountains, some groups of dwarves would travel to find their fortune elsewhere. Some went west, finding territory between the lands that would eventually be known as Bretonia and the Empire. Some went to the frozen north, where they would settle and do battle with the local early human tribes. And some went south and east. For a time, the dwarf race maintained contact with each other rather well. Trade routes were established, and the dwarfs were living a most prosperous time. That would all change, however, for when the time of chaos came, violent, ruinous warpstones engulfed much of the land to the north and to the east. Contact with many tribes in these areas were then lost. The dwarfs of the World Edge Mountains thought their kin to be dead, destroyed by the storms, or worse, as the tides of demons that marched from the lands known now as the Chaos Waste would engulf much of the east for a small time. The Dawi to the east, however, did not in fact die. They survived, but they were forever changed. The lands to the east had become inhospitable, the destructive powers of chaos almost outright dooming the dwarfs. The raw energies, killing local vegetation, poisoning the food and water supplies. They were dying, but they would not be killed off. In their desperation, they called out to their gods for hope, for salvation, but none answered the call. Had they been forsaken by their own gods, the Dawi despaired, who will save them from certain death? A voice answered. A dreadful voice. A voice full of rage and flame. The Father of Darkness himself, Hashut, had made himself known to the Dawi of the East, promising them salvation. All they needed to do was serve. The Dawi to the East, seeing no other choice but to serve, lest they die and be forgotten about with the passage of time, embraced their new Dark Father, and from now on, they were forever changed. From a distance, They look like your average dwarf. But should you be so lucky as to get closer, you'll notice the differences. They have been changed indeed. While at first they were resistant to the powers of chaos, when they surrendered themselves to Hashut, their resistance faded. They grew tusks, some grew horns, even hooves, and in most extreme cases, they took the form of a half Dawi, half bull, normally known as bull centaurs. Their dark god had now also granted them the ability to control the winds of magic, a feat that no other Dawi had seen before. But for the first time, and indeed for many after, these Dawi, now known as the Dawi-Zharr, mastered spellcraft. While in truth, their bodies were still resistant to magic, and almost acted against them, for the longer they wielded the dark winds, their bodies would warp even more. Not by mutation, mind you, but slowly turn to stone, eventually becoming nothing but mere statues. The curse of stone, they called it. Try as they might, there was no cure. But it would not slow down this new race's advancements, as they would attempt to combat it and slow it down at all costs. Despite all this, the Dawi-Zharr lived on, dominating the area known as the Darklands with an iron fist. Their love for honor now replaced by greed and tyranny, an extension of their dark god. They enslaved the local populations of greenskins to work at their forges as slaves. They experimented on the greenskins, hoping to make them more obedient. And it was here, by the power of the Dawi-Zharr, that the first Black Orcs came into existence. Obviously, the Dawi-Zharr could not foresee their failures. The greenskin slaves, now led by the Black Orcs, led a massive invasion, almost destroying the Dawi-Zharr, were it not for a timely betrayal by the hobgoblins. Not much is heard from the Dawi-Zharr save from this. What we know is that they control most of the Darklands. Their hellish machinery can be seen within the ranks of the Warriors of Chaos, and eventually their kingdom of Ash will rise. For the servants of the Bull God will unleash their fires upon this world. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our lore video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. Just a little reminder that there are various social media links in the bottom in the description below, where you can contact me directly, such as a Facebook link and a new Discord channel. There you can discuss with other Warhammer fans, and potentially play some games with me. But other than that, thank you so much again for watching, and I shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.